What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and I've been very excited about the Transformers TCG Wave 2 leaking. I have made a number of videos in which I have been extremely excited. But today, I might be more excited than I have been for any of the other videos, because, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Volcanicus. We've only seen one combiner so far. That is Predaking. I did a video, I'll pop a link in the description. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have Volcanicus, and Volcanicus is a Dinobot. And ladies and gentlemen, look at the stats. 39 stars. Now, if you thought my title was a little bit clickbaity, no! This is cheating! It costs 39 stars! The limit on a Transformers TCG team is 25. Even if you had a look at Metroplex and went, well, Metroplex, you know, that costs 25, and then you've got Scamper, Slammer, and Six Gun, they cost 4 each. Yeah, you know what? That adds up to 37. This is 39. This is ridiculous. Shall we have a look at the stats? 56 health. That's right. 56. This is just over the top ludicrous. Now, we thought a while ago that Metroplex was the absolute pinnacle of health in the Transformers TCG with 35. And then Predaking came along, and Predaking was like, 35, how about 37? And now Volcanicus is here like 37, how about 56. Something fishy is going on here, ladies and gentlemen, because that is way more health and way more stars than any Transformer should be, even if it's a combiner. We have an attack of... Don't worry, I will tell you what's going on in a second. We have an attack of 6, which is larger than the average. It's not actually up there with Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend, but, you know, 56 health. And an offensive 0, because quite frankly, right, there had to be a downside. It couldn't just all be ridiculous. So, you know, defensive 0, there we go. Now, it is also a Dinobot, so I should mention that you do have access to Dino Chomp, which gives you bold 5, and you do have access to Jaws of Steel, which give you bold 2, so this is pretty good. And you are a melee character, which gives you access to Power Sword, which gives you bold 3. And you do have access to body armor, which gives you tough 3. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a frankly ridiculous card. And if all of that wasn't good enough, and if it isn't, right, what do you want, ladies and gentlemen? But if it's not good enough, we do have a skill here as well. When this attacks, on the first turn he's combined, for each battle card you flip that has at least one orange icon, do 1 damage to the defender. Now, bearing in mind we've already talked about bold. We know that Dino Chomp gives you bold 5, Power Sword gives you bold 3, Jaws of Steel give you bold 2, and it's a utility, whereas Power Sword is a weapon, so you can have them both. We know that there are plenty of things that you can do here to up your bold as a Dinobot. And then we are just looking ridiculous here, because now you're flipping a lot of extra battle cards when you attack, and for each orange icon you flip, you get 1 extra damage. This can be absolutely huge. It only works once, but essentially you're probably taking down whatever you're up against. Even something like Metroplex should probably be a little bit worried when this attacks the turn it combines. Although it is each card that has at least 1 orange icon, so if you do have something like Peace Through Tyranny, which has double orange, that will only do 1 damage, not 2. So Volcanicus looks absolutely over the top, brokenly, amazingly good, but it also looks like somebody's cheated. Well, our explanation comes with Grimlock Powerful Commander. You see, Grimlock Powerful Commander has an ability that reads, when this attacks, choose a Dinobot you own from outside the game, put it into your KO area, in alt mode, fully damaged. Now, the wording here is rather important. If we look at Predacon Enigma, now we don't actually have Dinobot Enigma, but it's going to be the same card. You can only combine when you've got the Predacons in bot mode, which means you're going to have to get your Dinobots into bot mode and you put them into alt mode in your KO area. So you're going to have to flip them all. Although you can now, it has been confirmed, flip these cards when they are in the scrap. It's still not going to be an easy thing to pull off all the time. And they go in fully damaged, so it's not like you're going to get away with it too much. That 56 health is huge, but having said that, you take all the damage from all of your Dinobots with you when you combine into Volcanicus. So if you take 11 health Dinobot into the scrap, it is going to bring 11 damage counters onto Volcanicus. So that 56 health is not quite as big as we first thought. But, you know, healing and stuff. So essentially this allows you to get your 39-star character. We know that you're going to need to play an Enigma card to get a combiner. We know that Enigma cards basically say if you've got all of your whatever they are in bot mode in your battlefield or KO area, you can combine them. And it has got that green pip, so if you discard it while attacking or defending, you can discard a card from your hand, put it into your hand, and then you can play it next time, which is lovely. So we know how to get these out. We know how these Enigma cards work. I will pop a link to my Predaking video in the description just in case you haven't seen that. So essentially, Grimlock lets you cheat by having more stars than you should be able to. Now, in terms of the rest of the card, it's a Dinobot, it's a melee, it's a leader. And being an Autobot does mean you have access to Matrix of Leadership, if you are so inclined. Matrix of Leadership is quite a nice card. You do have both an orange and a blue icon. You get +1 attack, and each of your other characters has +1 attack and Pierce 1, which is quite nice. In terms of the stats here, it is a 9 cost, slightly above average, 13 health, slightly above average, 4 attack, average, and 1 or 0 defense is not good. But really, this is here to facilitate you getting Volcanicus. The health is quite nice. Other than that, the only thing that's really good about this is that it lets you get your Volcanicus rolling. There is one other thing to which I need to draw your attention here, and it is a little bit sad. All of these Dinobots are rare. And you're only going to be able to play Volcanicus if you've got all 5 rare Dinobots. Now, the pull rates for Wave 1 generally saw 2 or 3 rares in a box, and you'd have to get essentially 2 boxes and get really lucky to get all the Dinobots, so this could turn into a slightly expensive deck to make, which is a slight issue. If the rare pull rates are the same in Wave 2 as they were in Wave 1, and we don't know that they are, but if they are, this is not going to be an easy deck to put together. Looking at the other Dinobots here, we have Dinobot Swoop, who is a specialist, which means you have access to multi-mission gear, multi-tool, and the card that I revealed the other day, Field Communicator, all of which essentially allow you to play extra cards, which is very nice indeed. You are a 7 cost, which is slightly below average, and the stats here again are not good. For a 7 cost, slightly below average, you have 11 health, slightly below average, a defense of 1, below average, and an attack of either 4 or 3, average or slightly below. The stats aren't good, and again, in alt mode it's vanilla. But in bot mode we do have a really good skill. After this attacks, put a battle card you flip this attack that has at least a green icon into your hand. Now there's a couple of things you can do with this. On the one hand, what you could do is use this to get your Dinobot's Enigma card, which would be very nice. But if we take a card we looked at the other day, something like Focus Fire, it means that you flip Focus Fire, you get to keep the orange icon to +1 your attack as you usually would, but then instead of discarding a card from your hand to get it back, you just get it straight back. It also means you can potentially get 2 cards with green icons back, because remember the general rule that you can only get 1 green icon card back per battle by discarding a card from your hand. Now, the other thing I need to make you aware of here, given all the Dinobots add up to 39 stars, and you can only play 25 stars, you've got to play Grimlock, because he's the one that facilitates Volcanicus. Without Grimlock, you ain't getting Volcanicus. And then you've got to make a choice. You ain't playing all 5 Dinobots to start the game. You're going to have some of them off to one side. So that's the decision to make. Dinobot Slug. It is an 8 cost. It's a Dinobot melee character, so just like we saw with Grimlock. And what we see here is 10 health, not good. Not for an 8 cost. Free defense, which is very nice. Free defense in either mode is pretty good, and free attack in either mode is slightly lower than average, but to be honest, the free defense does make me happy. And again, we're vanilla in alt mode, but in bot mode, we've got a good skill here. When this battles and you flip your first white icon, you flip 3 extra battle cards instead of 2. So when you're attacking and flip a white icon the first time, you flip 2 extra, try and get more orange. When you're defending, the first time you flip a white icon, you flip 2 extra, try and get 2 more blue icons. Well, Dinobot Slug, you flip 3 instead of 2. This essentially gives you bold or tough 1, depending on whether you're attacking or defending, which I really, really like. This is essentially like combat training, which gives you bold 1 if you've got a weapon attached and tough 1 if you've got an armor attached. Except you don't have to have a weapon or an armor attached. I really like this skill. This is really quite nice. We see Dinobot Sludge, which is an 8 cost. Again, Dinobot melee character. It's weird that Dinobot Sludge has become melee when it was specialist before. But you know, these things happen, and you will see this happen as new characters are released in different forms. They lose things that they previously had and gain things that they previously didn't. I will do videos comparing these Dinobots to their older counterparts, but this video is going to be long enough just looking at Volcanicus. We have 8 cost, which is average. We have 12 health, which is average. 2 defense, which is average. And an attack of 3, which is slightly below. So once again, and this is a common theme with all of these Dinobots, the stats are a little bit lower than we would expect given their cost. Having said that, given that Grimlock lets you essentially cheat, I think that's probably expected. And once again, we have a vanilla alt mode. Right, I'm going to spoil the surprise, because there's one I haven't shown yet. They've all got vanilla alt mode. But in bot mode, when you attack and you have fewer cards in hand than your opponent, you draw 2 cards. This is an extremely powerful attack if you can keep your hand lower than your opponent. There's no guarantee you'll be able to, but if you're playing a bit less draw than them, then this can absolutely work. It's kind of like Dinobot Snarl. Now, we did see Dinobot Snarl as a regular character in Wave 1, and Dinobot Snarl in alt mode when you flip to it. If you had 0 cards in hand, you draw 2. Obviously really good after Dino Chomp when you've been emptying your hand. What I love here is not only do you get to draw 2 cards like Dinobot Snarl, not only is it really, really good to get a couple of cards after playing a Dino Chomp, which does make you discard your hand, but also you don't have to have a 0 card hand, just fewer than your opponent. That's alright by me. And then finally, Dinobot Snarl. It is a 7 cost. And the stats here are okay except for health. Health of 9 is bad, but defense of 2 is average, and attack of 4 or 3 is average or just below. For a 7 cost, I'm okay with that, but the health is very low. And again, like the majority of these, it is a Dinobot and melee. To be fair, they're all Dinobot melee except for Dinobot Swoop, who is a Dinobot specialist. But that just means you can really get some use out of Power Sword and Body Armor here, which are only for melee characters. Now, Dinobot Snarl actually has a really good skill in bot mode. When you attack, plan 2. Put up to 2 cards from your hand on top of your deck. Now, this is the second character so far that we have seen from Wave 2 with this new plan skill. And it's the better one. So, we previously saw that Taurox had plan 1, but this is plan 2. And I'm sure most of you know at this stage, 2 is generally better than 1. And this is when you attack, not when you flip to this mode, which again is a better option, because it essentially means you're attacking, quickly before you attack, pop a couple of cards down. And they could be cards that have an orange icon, think multi-mission gear, or a double orange icon like the previously mentioned Peace Through Tyranny. And although it's unlikely, there is a possibility here that what you could do is actually attack with this, put down 2 Peace Through Tyranny, and you guarantee that you're hitting 2 double orange icons to really bolster your attack. This is really quite redonkulous, ladies and gentlemen. This looks like it's going to be very, very nice indeed. Now, the one last thing I need to mention, and I know this is a longer video than usual, but come on! 5 Dinobots and Volcanius. One thing which is awesome about this, you can make a 25-star deck. So you go Grimlock, who is your 9 cost, and then you would need Dinobot Slug, who's an 8 cost, and Dinobot Sludge, who is an 8 cost. And that would essentially give you a 25-star deck, which is quite nice. But what you can do instead here is use one of the 2 7 costs, that being Swoop and Snarl, and then you would have a 24-star deck, which means you can play one of these battle cards that costs a star, something like Bolt of Lightning, which I really like because, you know, Dinobot. Or you could play both the 7 cost and have 2 of these star battle cards. I mean, technically, I suppose you could play only 2 characters, but that just seems a little bit silly. Because remember, you've got to attack twice with Grimlock just to get the other 2 characters into your scrap so that you can actually get rolling. And this is going to be an awkward thing to get rolling, because your opponent is going to go after Grimlock. Because if they get Grimlock, you don't have access to Volcanius here. Grimlock is the only way you get your Volcanius. You can only start the game with 3 of these Dinobots. You need 5 of them to get Volcanius. So if your opponent does take down Grimlock, that's a bit of a pain. What I will remind you of here is that we do have the card I Still Function. And I Still Function here allows you to essentially bring a robot back from the scrap for 1 turn with 1 health. Clearly, you kind of need I Still Function here with Grimlock, because otherwise your opponent takes down Grimlock and locks you out of the game, which would be a very, very bad thing. I feel like I've just scratched the surface for Volcanius in this video. This is a fantastically interesting card, and all of these other Dinobots look like an awful lot of fun, and they could go into other Dinobot decks. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the last video I'm doing on these Dinobots, but at least in this video I've shown you Volcanius, and I've been able to show you all of the Dinobots that make him up, as well as running through what they are, what their skills are, and some of the main pros and cons of this deck. But now this is one of those videos I need to hear from you guys, so let me know in the comment section. Tell me what you think about Volcanius. Go nuts! But please do remember the most important rule as always: be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we can talk about this. Seriously, tweet me, we'll have some conversations. I am psyched about this like I've not been psyched about anything in Wave 2, and as you can probably tell from some of my other videos, I have been very psyched about Wave 2 of Transformers. My one reservation about this, if we have the same ratio of rares to boxes, i.e. 2 or 3 rares per box, this is not going to be an easy deck to put together. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.